You're suggesting that we utilize the passage between the approaching structures. This ship will not fit.
Won't fit.
Captain, we will not fit.
Won't fit. Won't fit. I told you we fit.
I am not sure that qualifies.
Hi everybody, I'm Peter Travers and welcome to Popcorn, where we tell you what is happening at the movies, and you can't have a more exciting happening at the movies right now than Star Trek Into Darkness. And there's lots of reasons for that, but one of the main reasons is right here, Zachary Quinto. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Nice
Welcome.
to see you again. Thanks for having me.
It's always good.
Yeah,
you
it
know?
is always good.
I still can't perfect my, I can't do this.
Yeah, you're not alone.
Really?
Yeah, well, yeah, you're not alone. Look at see how your pinky grows out
It
that way.
just
a
grows
little
out that way. So you make
But
me feel so
do you
good.
play the piano?
I don't.
Well, that's good finger structure for playing the piano. Not good finger structure
I'll start
for the
now.
Vulcan salute.
I will
So,
start
yeah,
now.
there you go.
I will start now.
You're predisposed.
I am. So we'll start now by you telling us everything that happens in Star Trek Into Darkness.
From beginning to end.
Why? No, why really? What is the theory behind we shouldn't know anything?
I think the theory behind it actually has a lot to do with JJ, and
He will punish you.
Yeah, in one sense, but in a broader sense, I think it has to do with his integrity, and he wants to preserve an experience for the audience, and that's something that is a little harder to do these days in an age of instant information. So I think it really does come from a pursuit of integrity in storytelling and filmmaking, and so even though it can be difficult, as we said before we started, to dance around the issues, I think it's a pursuit that it's worth making.
Well, I'm sure I could ask you two things. One is getting back into Spock mode.
Sure.
It's 2009.
Yeah, it
Can
was
you
a while
believe
ago.
that?
Yeah. When we made it in 2007. So
Really?
yeah. So when we came back to this one, it had been really 5 years. It was incredible. I mean, it's such a great group of people.
But how do you prep? Do you call Leonard Nimoy and just say we need to
Well, Leonard and
together?
I have become very, very good friends. So we hang out a lot anyway. So if it's a matter of that, then I think I'm all set. Regardless, I didn't have to call him out of the blue.
So a friendship was formed.
Oh yeah, big time, big time. Yeah, I would never have imagined how close we would become. He's great.
Because I saw you both doing that Audi commercial.
Oh, yeah,
That
yeah.
is pretty great, you know? Where you're both...
We had fun doing that. We had fun
I bet.
doing that, yeah.
He's just cursing you out.
He's just cursing me out.
Is that like from life?
I hadn't seen that part of it when we were shooting, so when I watched the whole thing together and that part came, I almost fell off my chair. I thought he was hysterical in that.
It really is.
All of it.
Yeah.
He is. He's amazing.
I had.
Nice try. You wish.
No. I definitely had.
Not for a second. Obviously, you're buying lunch.
Technically, we're not inside yet.
So you're back in the years.
Yeah, I was.
There's not much more you have to do, right?
Well, you know, the physical transformation required to play the role is very informative in terms of my work as an actor. Because, first of all, it takes a while to do that and allows me to shift into a headspace that I need in order to go into my day. And then also the physical alterations themselves really do inform a physicality. So this movie sees a lot more action for Spock, which was great for me, and really I was grateful that Bob and Alex and Damon and JJ took me in a different direction as an actor in relationship to this character, both physically and emotionally. So I got to jump in head first.
No, you did it, and there was no problem with it. You didn't feel like, oh.
No, I loved finding. I loved having to find that path. You know, how does the character who is so historically associated with economy of movement and restriction of emotional expression, and hasn't really been seen except for maybe a couple of episodes, like, you know, really engaged in the highest level of physical combat. It's interesting.
No, but when we left off in the last one, there was still something going on between you and Uhura, you know, Zoe Saldana, and that continues a little bit into this. So
in an interesting way, I think, as well. It goes a little bit in an unexpected direction, the relationship, and I think it was surprising for audiences in the first film to be presented with that coupling. And now in this movie, I think it'll be surprising to see where those characters find themselves in their relationship.
I was surprised, but you're freaking me out so much about not saying anything I've forgotten. I've seen it. And that'll be tough when it comes to writing the review, you know? I'm saying, you know, what can I really do? The poster right behind your head, we see rubble, we see some sense. Star Trek, as a TV series, always dealt with things that were contemporary. So in this case, it's destruction. There's some kind of bombing going on that I won't say.
Yeah.
Was this in particular, because the events right now with Boston make you think it has some resonance for that?
Well, obviously, no one could have foreseen that horror when we were filming the movie. But I think Star Trek certainly, and entertainment in general, on some level reflects the experience of the society that is consuming it. So I don't think it's any mistake. There's a tremendous darkness in the world we live in, and I think for it to be reflected in even what is firmly considered, you know, the highest form of sort of that blockbuster spectacle entertainment, that, you know, that it makes sense.
Which this delivers even more intensely.
Yeah, the visual aspects of it, I think, are stunning. And Roger Gallardo, visual effects supervisor, mind-blowing work, and the 3D team that added all of that stuff, and you know, the dimensions that brings, and the IMAX element. I mean, it is a much bigger experience, more immersive than the first one. The first one was more, you know, about the crew coming together, and this one's more about us all going out on different splinter missions in order to save the day.
We haven't mentioned, and I think it's crucial, the new bad guy, if that's what you want to call him.
Sure.
John Harrison, who was played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who most people know as Sherlock Holmes. What was that like, you? Because those scenes with the two of you, I think, are really solid. There's something going on.
Yeah, well, yes. I love Benedict to work with, to hang out with. He's a great guy and a phenomenal actor. He brought such a precision to his work and to the role, as so calculating and you know, unsettling, and still really just great work, and someone that is a consummate professional. And it feels like I really can't imagine that we ever made a movie without him in it, or Alice Eve for that matter, who also came into this movie and is such a great addition to the ensemble as well. So it's been great to absorb new people as we go along, as we grow and change, and you know, figure out what's next.
What happens when you're playing a villain, since you've played a couple of them yourself? And Spock isn't that guy. I always see Spock as trying to stay Vulcan, but underneath, at least how you're acting him, this human side is like just dying to come out.
Well, I think the first movie for Spock was about grappling with his humanity, and I think this movie is much more about accepting it. Sort of, at the beginning of the film, he finds himself in great peril. Anybody that saw the 9 minutes in front of The Hobbit knows that he finds himself in the middle of a volcano. He almost maybe doesn't get out. Anything could happen. But there's a moment where he has to confront that, and it's a real moment of surrender. I think he's doing that a little more in this movie. Just sort of taking a little bit of a deeper breath and being like, okay, I feel this way, and I'm not going to deny that I feel this way, and I'm going to act accordingly because of and for the people that I love. So that's growth from my perspective.
But it's hard for Spock because he's got rules.
That's correct.
He's got those. He wants to stay according to that. You know, logic is important for him. So that struggle is what make, I think, this movie and the first one in 2009 different than a lot of the blockbusters I see, which have no time for character. Right. They just go
and
next.
That's, again, it comes back to JJ. You know, it's he can create these worlds that are so epic and magnificent, but they're always anchored in that kind of connection to one's self and to each other in the film.
Well, now J.J. Abrams is going to direct the new Star Wars movie.
Yes, he is.
Yes. So what do you do when you find that out? You said you grew up with it?
Yeah.
You know, so what do you say, J.J., you know, I could be what character? Well, I don't know. Who would you want to be?
I would be an Ewok, obviously.
Oh, no.
Listen, you know, I feel like I had this moment. I forget whether I heard it or read it or something, but I just had like 30 seconds of like, there's a different word after star. Do you know what I mean? It just felt like it was like incongruous, and then it settled, and then I was like, of course. I mean, it makes so much sense, and I couldn't really imagine any other director at this point taking that on, and I think it reflects JJ's ambition and his talent, and his pursuit of fulfillment creatively, and I want that for him. I respect that in him, and it's inspired me. So.
Well, I was just aiming for your raw desire.
Oh, being in
to
the
be
movie?
a part of it.
I don't know. I feel like I feel like, really?
What? You don't? If I were close to the person that was doing, I would say at least.
But
at least let me.
It's a little like, it's like a little impossible. I can't really cross that line. I don't think it's too. It would be too. Circuits would cross. I think people would. I don't know what would happen in like the webosphere.
I think the world would go on and they'd be really excited by it.
You think so?
You know, yeah. You never had a conversation with him about it?
No.
Honest to God?
No.
No, never was brought up.
No.
Just good luck, JJ. Do
Pretty
that
much,
Star
yeah.
Wars thing
Pretty
and do
much.
that. Well, then you're just a good man. Why does Bill Shatner not have reactions?
I
Come
don't
on.
know, man.
Why are you
that's
just going?
between JJ and Bill. It has nothing to do with
I'm
me.
sorry. I want to
JJ
know
just
why
had
he's not taking you to lunch.
JJ just had a meeting with Bill a couple weeks ago. He's telling me about it. So I don't know why he's not more publicly involved or supported. Maybe Bill will come. Maybe he'll come to the premiere.
Maybe they'll just all be there.
We'll make sure we invite him, right?
To do that. That has to happen.
A specific invite.
Yeah.
Of course.
It was 2 years ago when you came out, right? It was this, and people would say to you, no, that's too risky. You can't. How did that work out?
Well, I didn't tell anybody that I was going to do it, so nobody had a chance to give me any advice.
Oh, they didn't?
About it.
You
No,
just did
I
it?
just did it without, nobody in my life knew, nobody professionally or personally knew. Because the one thing that I was certain of, in the many years that I grappled with the issue of how or when or if to do it, you know, one of the big points that I always knew was that it would be in my own time and on my own terms, and those were the only two things that I could be sure of. And as long as I was working toward them, I would know for myself. Because I think, especially with an issue like that, the minute you open it up to anybody else's opinion, you're in trouble, or at least you're going to have to work harder to filter down the noise. So that helped, you know, that it was after I had the interview that I actually told people what I had done, and then we got into the, okay, well, we'll see, but it wasn't like it was done then.
But it's 2 years now.
Yeah.
And no adverse effects.
No, none. I mean, no. I feel like I felt supported at the time in a really profound way, you know, by fans and people that just know me for my work, but also by all the people in my life that whose opinions and guidance I seek, you know, really supported me. And yeah, I just feel like you know, you draw people into your experience that reflect you and reflect what you want and reflect what you pursue. So
If you're
people
lucky.
in my, I guess, or if you're specific, you know. And for me, it's the people that I've invited or that I've drawn into my experience that would only support a move like that, you know. And then, not to harp on it, but then the people who I've heard from or connected with, the kids, young people, who are able to see themselves differently because I never had anyone to look to in that position when I was growing up, and yet I still managed to find myself in that position. So that to me there's something incumbent upon me in that scenario.
Well, you know, having done the show before, that we always end in song.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah, you do know that.
What are we singing? What are we singing?
I don't know. You could hum the Star Trek theme. You could do whatever in your head.
Does whistling count?
Whistling can count if it's good.
I kind of have a good. I
really?
think I have a pretty good one of Michael Giacchino's score for this one. Is it satisfactory?
I feel like I'm
You
there.
good?
I feel like I'm into darkness. I truly do.
Oh, look, he comes prepared. Clearly you want this, so I think it's
I want
possible.
it desperately. Look at that, people. Look at
Good
that.
work,
I want
man.
you to
I'm
see
proud
it.
of you.
Now
I'm
I'll
proud
shake
of
your
you.
hand. That was great.
Good to see you.